everyone, what's up? My name is Joss and welcome back to my channel, Squibblesreads. So today I'm going to be coming at you with my October book haul. I just went to a huge library book sale, which is a once-a-year event, and I get so excited for this. This year I came back with 21 books for around $25, which is an amazing deal because some of those books were hardcover 2016 releases. I seriously could have gotten so many more, but I wanted to maintain some semblance of self-control, so I spent like 2 hours sitting there and just like parsing down the books that I had got to a reasonable number. So much adulting. I've also acquired 2 different books from publishers that I got in the mail this month, so I will show you those 2 books at the end of the haul, so let's just jump right on in. So the first book that I got is a beautiful hardcover copy of How to Live Safely in a Science Fictional Universe by Charles Yu. This book was recommended to me by Adriana over at Perpetual Pages. So in this book, the author is the main character, the protagonist, and he's also the narrator. There's some sort of time travel, and he is a time traveler and kind of a counselor because he tries to help people who have messed up their time machines by trying to change their own past. There is more to the synopsis, but I don't really understand it just by reading the blurb on the book, but I do know that I really trust Adriana, so I'm hoping that I will like this one. The second book that I got is a book that I previously showed in a haul, however that time I got it from the library, but I enjoyed it so much that I've been looking for a copy ever since, and that book is A Man Called Uwe by Frederick Backman, who is one of my favorite contemporary authors. This one is about, of course, a man called Uwe, who is an old curmudgeonly type of dude, and he's your typical get off my lawn kind of guy. In this story, a family moves in next door with 2 young children, and at the beginning they flatten his mailbox and we just follow his journey. It's super heartwarming, super funny and cute. I also met Frederick Backman at BEA and he was just the nicest person ever, so I'm really happy that I got a copy of this. The next book that I got is The Green Road by Anne Enright. This book was longlisted for the Man Booker Prize in 2015. It spans 30 years and takes place in a small town on the Atlantic coast of Ireland. We are following a woman named Rosaline, who is the motherly figure in the family of the Madigans. There are 4 children and they have all kind of gone their separate ways and traveled to different places, but she is trying to sell their home and they come together one Christmas and try to grapple with the fact that she's kind of selling off a piece of their childhood. I really like the sound of this because I really enjoy quiet family saga type books. Up next, we have a beautiful copy of 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This cover is just gorgeous. It's got like all these colors down at the bottom and it's got these beautiful French flaps and just the texture of it is just like so nice. I've heard so many people loving this book. I've heard that it is like historical fiction with some magical realism elements and spans like hundreds and hundreds of years with multi-generational family stuff. I know that it's literary fiction and it has won a Nobel Prize. I have not yet read it, but I have always wanted to. I also got The Book of Lost Things by John Connolly. This is about a 12-year-old boy named David who is really grieving the loss of his mother and finds solace in his books, but his reality and the fantastical world in his books kind of start to come and meld together, and the king who rules the fantastical world keeps like his secrets and his rules inside a book called The Book of Lost Things. I've heard that this one is a lot darker than how it appears and I'm totally down for that. Kind of in the same vein is The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. This takes place in Sussex, England, where a middle-aged man goes back to his home, and I believe that there's some sort of funeral, and he is overwhelmed by memories of his old, like, childhood friend and, like, protective figure. Her name is Letty, and I do know that, like, 40 years ago, there was a man who committed suicide on this farm that he's traveling to. That's about all that I know, but there is, like, some magical realism. I've heard that the writing is really beautiful. Also, again, a really pretty copy of the book with French flaps and like someone's receipt inside, so I don't know what that's about, but also very happy to have this one. I also got The Unexpected Inheritance of Inspector Chopra. This is by Vaseem Khan. This is a book that I've been wanting to read for a while. It is a mystery book, but it is set in Mumbai, India, which we don't see a lot. Inspector Ashwin Chopra, it is his last day and he is retiring, but 2 cases land on his desk that have just not been solved. One of them is about a boy who has drowned and the other one somehow involves a baby elephant, which I think is just so charming and so cute. I think that the cover and the artwork of this book is gorgeous, so I cannot wait to get into this one because I've been looking for it for a while. Next, we have The Paying Guests by Sarah Waters. This takes place in 1922 in London. We have Frances, who is 27 years old and identifies as a lesbian. She is living with her mother, who has fallen on some hard financial times, and they take in a couple who is like of the clerk class, and they pay them as law lodgers. There is some sort of like psychological thing, and also like some weird forbidden love and themes of gender and class, which I have heard are common themes in Sarah Waters' books. Jumping back to like the magical realism theme type stuff, I also have the Book of Speculation by Erica Swyler. Our protagonist is a man named Simon. He is a librarian, and he has anonymously received a book that has an inscription of his grandmother's name in it, and somehow through this book he is trying to find out all of his family's secrets and stuff. I really love a good book that talks about books. Up next we have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I don't know a ton about this book, but I do know that a lot of people love it. It is some sort of historical fiction and involves some type of Greek mythology as well. Again, for 50 cents, I could not help but grab this one as well. One of the hardcover 2016 releases that I got, I think I first heard about on All the Books, which is a book rat podcast, and the book that I got is a thriller, and it's called The Passenger by Lisa Lutz. This book is about a woman who somehow has her husband's body at the bottom of the stairs and abandons it 48 hours after his death. She is on the run, and she finds a bartender named Blue who offers her a space to live, and she accepts, and she is trying to grapple with the past and I think the crime that could possibly have committed in her husband's death. I'm not really quite sure, but she is on the run. I heard about this next book during Diversathon, and that is Behind the Beautiful Forevers by Catherine Boo. This is a nonfiction book, and the author went to Mumbai over a course of 3 years and interviewed a bunch of people who were living in the slums that are close to the international airport there, just trying to survive by whatever means possible, whatever jobs possible, anything that they can do to survive. I've heard that it's just like super heartbreaking, and it actually reads like narrative fiction. Then we have The Broken Hours by Jacqueline Baker. I don't know too much about it. I just spotted it at the book sale, and I was super intrigued by it because the cover and the spine are like really, really pretty. But I opened it, and it does say that it is horror and involves something to do with H.P. Lovecraft. I don't know much about it beyond that, but it's been a while since I've read some like hardcore horror stuff, and it's definitely the season for that right now. I picked up a copy of The Lowland by Jhumpa Lahiri. This is a book that I read a few years ago when it very first came out. It's about two brothers who are from India. One of them really likes science and education and knowledge, and the other one is really passionately involved in politics. The one who enjoys science has moved to the States, but something happens and brings him back to India. I really enjoyed this when I read it, even though it took me a little while to get used to the writing style, and I'm really happy that I finally have a copy of it. Another book that I found totally on a whim at the book sale is called The Good Thief by Hannah Tinty. This is about a 12-year-old boy whose name is Ren, and he is an orphan, lives in an orphanage, has no idea what happened to his parents, also is missing a hand and does not know what happened in order to have him missing that hand. He meets a guy named Benjamin who claims to be his older brother and apparently knows the story of his parents and of what happened to his hand. He takes him on this journey where they meet a bunch of like petty thieves and burglars and kids who do weird things. On the back it's billed as like Charles Dickens with touches of Harry Potter whimsy, so I mean I had to grab this. Apparently I looked on Goodreads and the audiobook is narrated by the same guy who voices Bob the Builder, so I hope Bob the Builder does a good job of this one. Next book I actually set out to the book sale to find because I've been looking for a nice copy of this book forever. I found some not so nice copies of this book, but finally I have it, and this book is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is about a group of friends at like an elite college in New England who are all classics majors, and somehow they get involved in like a weird murder. They're kind of like exclusionary and really keep to themselves, and their group is really insular. I don't know much about it past that, but I know that I'm super stoked to have finally found a copy. Another hardcover 2016 release that I got is called Be Frank With Me by Julia Claiborne Johnson. This is about a fictional author named Mimi who has been living a life as a recluse in a big Bel Air mansion, but now she's trying to write another book, and her publisher is really wary of this because she hasn't produced anything for a while. So she hires an assistant named Alice to try and kind of keep an eye on her. So Alice goes to the mansion and immediately starts to take care of Mimi's son, Frank, who's kind of a weird kid, and becomes consumed with trying to find out who Frank's father is and something to do with his piano teacher. The next book has been going around BookTube a lot, I think because there is a movie adaptation of it coming out soon. This book is The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey. This is a book about a girl named Melanie, and for some reason a lot of people are really scared of her, and she is to be led to class at this military base with people pointing guns at her, I think was on the blurb. I do know that it involves zombies in some type of way, but not like the blood and gut eating type of zombies. I have been recommended this book, and I have been told that I will enjoy the writing of this book. I also got a copy of one of my favorite books from high school, and this book is Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. This is a book about two friends named Telly and Kate. We're following them from childhood and all the way until they are adults. Honestly, I don't think it's like the greatest written book in the world, but it is really sentimental to me. Continuing with the sentimental business, the next book that I got is My Story by Elizabeth Smart, which she wrote with Chris Stewart. As you guys know, I really love mysteries and thrillers, and I also really enjoy forensics. Elizabeth Smart's case when she disappeared in 2002 was one of the first cases that I started following that started my love of forensic sciences. I didn't actually know that she wrote a book until I saw it at the book sale, and it was only 50 cents, so I grabbed it. And the final book is one of the books that is in the Hogarth collection of the retellings of Shakespeare. This one is The Gap of Time by Jeanette Winterson. I actually started reading this. I got it from the library a few months ago, but I just never finished it, and it was due at the library. This is the retelling of The Winter's Tale, which says right here. I think this cover is so pretty. It's like an eye and a clock and a map and some leaves, which is pretty cool. Finally, I'm going to show you two books that were sent to me by publishers this month. This first one everyone's been talking about, but it was a total surprise because I did not request it from the publishers, so a big thank you to Source Books for sending it to me. This is Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Cordova. This is a Own Voices YA fantasy novel. This is about Alex, who is a Bruja witch who is supposed to be the most powerful in her generation, but unfortunately she does not like magic, so she tries to perform a spell to try and make it go away, but unfortunately she manages to make her family go away instead. She's trying to find her family and is stuck with a Brujo boy who is accompanying her on this journey. I also requested an arc of Fish in Exile by Vicky Now. This is kind of a weird little book. It broaches the topic of a parent's grief by involving both sea creatures and different types of mythology. I don't really know what that means, but when I heard that, I thought it was just a really interesting way to explore the topic in like a totally unique and metaphorical light, which is something that I really love. So I'm finally done. Those are all the books that I got. Let me know which one you guys think is the most interesting to you, or any books that you bought in October. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!